This is what's so terrible about this, is you'll go along to get along to happy wife, happy life, and you'll find that it doesn't work. It won't change the situation. At best, she might, be happy for a minute. At best. Usually that's not even the case. And then, as you make these concessions, her, of course, you're just blowing up her attraction. She wants you to fight back, but even when you do, she has more power than you, so it's not going to go well. Hello, welcome to Monogamy, the show where we discuss the true nature of all, yes, I said all, modern relationships in today's monogamish matriarchy. I am Douglas Solution, author of the book Monogamish, How the Matriarchy Came to Rule the World. You might think, well, but I'm the man, right? Yeah, well, I got another thing to tell you. Doesn't really matter, because there's a bigger man than you, and that is the modern state and technology that has given power to women. Power that used to be men's, but now that power is redistributed to women to create this women's equality. We call it that. We call it equality, but it's not equality. Power has been transferred to the women, and the result is superiority through the technologies that man has created, which I lay out: labor-saving machines, the socialist welfare state, and number 3, the big one, birth control. Through these 3 technologies, women have taken on more power than men in all relationships. And that's why you're getting wrecked, because there's nothing you can do about it. It doesn't matter how powerful you think you are, what kind of game you think you got, how good looking you are, how much money you think you got. No matter how much ride or die you think she is, you're going to get wrecked, because her feelings are going to change. They always do, even from day to day. And you can't control that. And eventually, she's going to go through what I call the monogamish cycle. That cycle is shown in this chart that I've made. It's very simple, but within it contains some pretty powerful stuff. The chart shows 4 different phases, right? There's actually 3. There's actually 3 phases in a monogamish relationship. Now, what a monogamish relationship is a woman converts your relationship to exclusivity. They're always trying to do that. Why do you think that is? Right? Well, they're wired for it. And they'll tell you that too. I only date one guy at a time, right? See, that's a power play, right? And if you fall for it, like most men do, you're gonna think that you're getting a good deal. You're like, whoa, yeah, well, she's hot, she's ride or die, and she's chill. And so I can do that, I'll just be with her. Because most men, we have to work to get with a woman, right? They don't have to work. With all the guys they got them working for them, which is another indication who has the power now. It didn't used to be that way, but it is now. And so these guys, they're we have to really up our game, and we have to pursue, and we have to pay, and the burden is on us to get with a woman. Okay, so that's just, most guys are just trying to get there. That's actually what I call phase 0 in my system. Phase 0 is situationships. You're just trying to get a situationship, which means that you're gonna be having sex, right? That's what a situationship is. You're hooked up with a chick who's having sex with you. You've got her to that level, right? There's no commitment yet. It's just, oops. But then she tells you that, she's only into monogamy, right? Which is a lie, because monogamy is no longer a thing on this earth. We don't have monogamy anymore. That's been replaced by monogamish. Monogamy means one partner for life. That's what we used to have. That was called monogamy, and it was called more, accurately, is male enforced monogamy. Okay, this is a system prior to 1919 where men had authority over their wives and their children, and that was called the family. And that family system was under the authority of the husband. He was the ultimate authority in the family, and every man was the authority in his house. It was like a little government, and the woman needed the man. The man needed the woman. And, people used to really need each other before we had this technology, before we had the state and all this stuff, and we had families, and it was a lot of work to raise them. And that's the old system, though. We're not in that system now. There's no monogamy. That's kind of the point that I'm trying to make here, is monogamy is over, right? And now when women say they want monogamy, what they want is they want you to be exclusive to them. They want to lock you down and your resources so that you're not looking anywhere else, because they have this ego, that they don't want to compete. You see, that is the thing that they're not telling you, right? That women hate competition, and everything about women is competition with other women. And they have feminism exist now, through the technology. It enables it, but what it really does is it eliminates competition, so that, and competition is power that works against her. So she has all the power. She has monopoly power over you and over your sex, all of that, your money and your resources. And the real man is the state, but the side dude is you. You're actually a side dude. She says she wants to be monogamous. She's monogamous with the state, and then she's cheating on the state with you. And you're the side dude. And you're supplemental income, basically. Nowadays, men today are supplemental income for the most part. There's not a lot of women that are, fully dependent on a man. And if they are, that whole, contract is held by a state. Those are the guys that have the trad wives, and they get divorce wrecked the hardest. So, because, that they can make a better case. Well, I'm dependent, on him. But actually the dependency is on the contract of the state to enforce that against the trad cuck man. And those, like I said, those are the guys that get the most damage. And that's where we're seeing all the divorces now, is in the church, in these more red state communities. because they're the only ones even getting married now. Most of us are not getting married. We've wised up beyond that, 20, 30 years into the red pill. Marriage is over. And so she's trying to get you into, back to the chart, she's trying to get you into this, what she calls monogamous, but it's actually monogamish relationship, because it's just until our feelings change. And she'll, a lot of you guys are getting in your 30s. You had a hard time with all the women in their 20s, and you in your 20s. The women were in their situationship phase, getting their college degrees and getting their government jobs, and then traveling and living their best life. And then they hit their epiphany phase in their 30s. And so that's when you're getting with them, in that sweet spot, where they really are they're ready to settle down, and they're tired of all the games. Yeah, because they're the wall's coming at 40. So this is why the epiphany is in the 30s generally, late 20s, early 30s, and they start going to church, and then here comes you, white knight. You're like, wow, man, these chicks are cool, man. This one, I know she's got a kid, but she's like all over me, and she's ride or die, and she's really cool, and I think she just needs a good man, As my friend, or he's not my friend, but he's a guy I like, Greg Adams says, and that's you. You're that guy. And so she locks you into this monopoly of this monogamous relationship, and that's where you get the exclusive commitment. Now you're in a relationship. That's phase one. That's phase one of the monogamish cycle. And now you're really, you're seeing this bonding, right? Now I tell you, the phase one of the monogamous cycle, this is the same phase that mankind has always had. There's nothing, abnormal about phase one of the monogamous cycle. This is what all relationships always were. This is the biological process of when you're having sex, you're bonding, you're chemically through all these different hormones bonding, and you're forming a partnership, a real, your two flesh become one, and that's in phase one. And all these phases, phase 1, 2, and 3 of the monogamous cycle, they are a simplified version of what's in my book. The book, Monogamish, How the Matriarchy Came to Rule the World. In that, there is the phases, of course, but there's 12 steps. And I'll put up that briefly on the screen so you can see it. But these 12 steps are what's actually going on. And so there's 4 steps. There's 4. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm driving in the snow. We got 5 feet of snow up here on Stevens Pass, so I'm going skiing. But the first 4 steps are like meeting, sparks, dating, and then sex, right? And compliance and submission, right? So that's phase 1. Phase 1, she's totally in her feminine, if you're doing it right. That's what all the PUA guys are trying to tell men to do, is get them in their feminine and get them to be in this protector mode. You're the head of the household, and she might even be looking to start a family, right? Like that's why the dynamic exists. You're not the daddy because she's a little girl, which, they do that too. But you're really the leader because you're providing the stability for a future family. This is, the motherhood epiphany mode. And this is normal. This is how it's supposed to be. And the only difference between you and how it's supposed to be is that previously this was done back in your teenage years, right? And now we've delayed it, to the 30s when the eggs are already, mostly expired. But and they're on birth control too, so that you're dealing with a sterile situation. But this bonding thing, it has the power to make the woman in a state of surrendering power. The sex act is an act of establishing leadership for the man, and that is a form of deferring to his frame. So this whole thing, this is normal, and this is how it's supposed to be, right? Now the problem is they have more power than you because of the technology that man created. And so they used to just stay there in that state, and that's why you think everything's fine, nothing's changed. I know everybody's getting divorced, but not me, and you're lulled into this. Now you're really screwed because you're bonding and you're creating this normal, healthy life, how it should be with the woman who you love. And the problem is that she is independent. You do not own her. And it might feel like that for a while to both of you. But as time goes on, she shipped into phase 2, which is complacency and rude behavior. And this is the problem. You have no way to stop this, right? So in the beginning, you have these shit tests. And guys learn about this in the red pill spaces that women will do these shit tests. But, these shit tests will come up and you'll find out how much power you actually have because she won't submit. Later on, she submits in the beginning to your shit test and you win, and then she feels like she's got a strong man and she's attracted, and you get to continue getting it. But as time goes on, she'll throw these same testing, and I'll tell you, like, here's a really good example. All guys have dealt with this who've been with women with children, whether they're their children or their stepdad or what. But it's the binky problem. This will come up when the kid is 3. It should be earlier. It should be 2, but 3-4 years old, and the kid is fighting for the binky. And the man, he'll say, well, we need to move past this. It's time. No. The man says, no. The woman, see, that's her baby. It's not your baby. Whether it's yours or not, it doesn't matter. She has all the power. And she'll argue, but she might even be nice about it. She might be like, well, just this one time, And what's happening is the order of man established by God in the Bible is being inverting. And the actual order is going from, instead of, God, man, woman, child, the actual order is now going child, woman, man. And then God's out the door. There's no God when it doesn't matter if you're dealing with a church girl. She's going to try to control you. And that's the opposite of God. God is he made man in his image and made the woman out of the man. And So that's why we have, and the man and the woman made the child, right? So that's why there's this order, right? But she's going to throw that God order, no matter how Christian she is, she's going to throw that order out the window. And this is her new shit test. And you have no power to do anything. Now, you can take it away, right? Take the binky away. But good luck with that. You're going to end up in jail eventually. And this is what happens. And she's going to play, they have superior mind games, right? Gaslighting, projection. Now you're being controlling, right? She's going to say, you're being controlling. And who's being controlling? You're trying to establish discipline for the child. She's trying to control you. And successfully, I might add. And you're going to lose this. You're going to lose this battle. And that's just one example. It's one of the most obvious. I hear this one comes up, in my life. I've dealt with it many times. There's a lot of other, it could be taking the phone away. It could be, if you're not going to eat your dinner, then you can go to bed hungry. It's just no that the man says. It could be, and I know I threw the child in there and that adds a level of complication, but it's not. It's the same thing. It could be that she wants you to do something special for Valentine's Day or for her birthday or whatever. And you say, no, that's not what we're going to do. And you establish your male alpha frame leadership on that situation. And you say, no, this is what we're going to do. And what you'll find is that there's no authority that men have in relationships nowadays. And the relationship isn't the man's frame. The relationship is the woman's frame. That's because the women have all the power. And so this is going to create division, which further increases this phase 2 complacency and rude behavior. And she's going to have rude comments. You guys are going to fight. And this can go on in a relationship for many years. Every relationship, if you've been in one, eventually there's something. There's something that you guys are fighting about. And she's not going to submit. The submission is gone. It'll come back for a little bit, maybe some good sex, or she has some problems that you're helping her with. And so, you'll find that a lot of the participation in relationships by women is due to that you're providing something that they need, right? And that's the leverage that you have, but it's fleeting and it's little, because the more committed that you become, the more she owns that level by the technologies of man. And so the state, which is the technology of man, is going to take your power. And so as you continue to engage, let's say you get married, you have kids, what happens is that she owns you. She owns all that. And so there's not the leverage to try to get to own it. She already owns it. And you become worth more to her gone than you do present. Because present, you represent a liability. She's got to deal with you. And she doesn't want to have to deal with you. You're annoying. And you make messes. And you want her to have sex. And you want, all these things. And she has to fight with you. And so that's annoying. And she's going to be like, well, screw that. I can get rid of this guy. I can keep the kids, I can keep the house, and I can also get cash payments. We call this cash and prizes. So you become worth more to her divorced than you do married. And maybe you're not married, it's less incentivized that she's going to lose out by leaving, but there's still a lot of other things that she's going to gain by leaving. The ability to live her best life again, and she's going to get a bunch of sympathy from a bunch of people because you're an abuser, and she's going to be able to go out with Chad and Tyrone without having to lie to you about it, and so on. And so this is just building. And the psychology, the therapist is telling her, all of her girlfriends, everything she watches on TV, everything's telling her that you're a narcissist and you're a controlling asshole, and she'd be better off without you. And so then this will come into phase 3 of the monogamish relationship, and that is the reasons to exit. The exit phase. Reasons to exit is I believe it's the 9th step at the beginning of the exit phase. And then there will come at some point, and you probably don't see it coming, but there will come what's called the overt breakup. And that is when she signals to you that, oh, this is real. We're actually not. Oh, here's the kids. They're all wanting people to honk horns. There's a truck in front of me. They're out playing in the snow. I wish I could show you. I'll try to get more pictures today to put in this video. It's beautiful out. I'm just kind of coming up past Sultan into Gold Bar and following kind of a slow truck right now, but there's Gold Bar's got about 6 inches, I'd say, of snow, and there's the trucks pulling out. So now I got free rein, and it's gonna get deep from here as we head up to Stevens Pass. And so the exit phase is where we're at. And she will signal to you in some way, and I'm just kind of doing a brief overview. She will signal to you in some way that it's over. And she'll say, if you're living together, I think I'm gonna look at getting my own place. Or she'll say, maybe we need to take a break. They're just, and you'll just be shocked, right? Or you guys will have a fight, and you get to this point in your fight where you're just like, well, screw you, and get out of here. If she's over at your house, you tell her that, or she'll just leave. This is what happens. And so guys are kind of going along. They know there's problems, right? But they're working on it. They think that they can manage it until they can't. And this is what I call this is step 9 in the steps, but the overt breakup. And that's where now she is ducking out. Something's and you see. That's really what, clues the guy in. You'll see this different side of her, this like other, you'll start to see this other person, and you'll realize, and what this other person is it's there's multiple personalities, because she was just acting before, and the act was the submission. That's the person is her in submission to you. And so this version of her that is compliant, even though she's arguing and stuff, you still can look her in the eye, and you still have power over her connection, or you think you do. That she can fake that too, and a lot of it is fake. But what happens in the exit phase is a guy gets a glimpse. He looks in her eyes, and he knows something has changed. And now that submission is not there. and she's not there. She's somewhere else. And you might not realize she might already be screwing somebody else in another situationship, right? Because that's where it goes next. It goes, remember, this is where we're going. We're going through the exit phase. And you can't do anything about this, by the way. This is, kind of one of the main points that I'm trying to help guys with. This is what it is. This is what I call monogamish. This is modern relationships and the cycle that they go through. And this is what it is you're going through this cycle, whether you knew it, you didn't know it, but she converted you into that monogamish relationship. And then she's going through this. She doesn't know it either. She thinks that she thinks she's got a broken picker. She doesn't know why she's attracted to unavailable narcissists. They're just as confused. And the psychology is making them even more confused. And they'll be like, well, relationships are hard. Like, yeah, they're hard because there's no submission. Now, remember I told you that in the past, before 1919, before the women got the independence, and they no longer were property of men, when men still had the power to hold that in place, that first phase, that is the compliance and submission, that's where it stayed. She might give you some rude behavior or something, but you would put it back into compliance and submission. And you needed each other, so it would stay there, right? But now there's nothing holding it. So this rude behavior phase 2 comes along, and then eventually you're going to get into phase 3, the exit phase. And let me tell you something. By the time the overt signal comes, she's gone. She's gone. Because her emotions are what is running the show. The whole time they've been running the show. And now her emotions are no longer connected to you. That emotional female creature who was in that emotional submission state is no longer connected, and she's disconnected and connected to something else. That's what she's doing inside, internally. She's disconnecting from you, and she's connecting back with the state through her girlfriends. This is why there's always a girlfriend involved, or multiple girlfriends, or some friend group. There's some other friend group. Like with my wife, we had this, 2 friend groups, and I told her, don't talk to these people. These people are bad. They're no good, right? And just stay away from them. Now, I'm trying to be general here and not tell exactly who this group was, but that while she was in the compliance and submission phase, that worked. Now, when she got into the complacency and rude behavior phase 2, then that was a big snowball hitting my car. Then she started cross-pollinating and talking to these other in private, right, in secret. And sliding it in there. Well, they're really cool, and you misunderstood them. Meanwhile, those guys are talking shit about me, and they're undermining me the whole time. And there's nothing I can do about it. And so what happened is you're getting compromised over and over and over. And your leadership has been totally undermined. That's why the whole cuck thing is so popular now. Because that's what all men become. Because look at the body counts. The body counts tell the story. You weren't the first. I guarantee you. We aren't having sex with virgins out here, like that's not the deal anymore. And you're not going to be the last. So what does that make you? What does that make you? You're not the first, you're not the last. What does that make you? That makes you erect. We're all gonna end up there. And you're also gonna be a simp because you're gonna try to make her happy. And that's the biggest mistake, right? You're screwed any way you slice it, right? But when you try to make her happy, then you're appeasing the woman. That's what a simp is. A simp is somebody who, defers. Now you're losing freedom. You're just losing all your leverage. You're just losing it, and you're trying to, happy wife, happy life. That's what these other cucks will tell you. And then you're gonna get really screwed up, because each time she wins, her attraction level for you goes down more and more. So by the time phase 3 comes along, you've already slid down that scale. And she's out. And you just don't know it yet. And you're going to try to be like, how can I fix this? Maybe if I give her what she wants. And then you'll find out because I've done this. And you give her what she wants. I'm sorry. And my friend, Will, who you guys know, if you've been watching the videos, I did check out the Red State is Not Different series with Will Hill. And he's got he's starting a channel now. He's doing a daily kind of vlog thing. But he has this term that he says, I baited out. I'm like, what are you talking about? You baited out. And he says, well, I'm like, did you masturbate out, or was you simped out, or he's like, yeah, all he baited out, and he's gone full clown world. You're not supposed. This is a quote from a movie. Okay, I'm quoting a movie here. He's describing this where and I've done it, okay, we'll go to counseling. I've done it. This is how I know this stuff. I've done it all. I've done the Gottman approach. I've done couples counseling. I've tried to get my wife into couples counseling when she didn't want to go. I've told her, okay, I'll do what you say. I'll come to a complete stop at a stop sign. I won't drive. I'll drive with both hands on the wheel. I actually had one. That was the most recent one, actually. Yeah, I got it. Look at me now. But I went along with this shit. And this is what you'll find when you do this. This is what's so terrible about this, is you'll go along to get along to happy wife, happy life, and you'll find that it doesn't work. It won't change the situation. At best, she might, be happy for a minute. At best. Usually that's not even the case. And then, as you make these concessions, her, of course, you're just blowing up her attraction. She wants you to fight back, but even when you do, she has more power than you, so it's not going to go well. She's going to come back to you, and she's just going to keep changing, because these are what's called reasons to exit. They're just reasons, right? But she's already made the exit in her heart. She's gone. And so she's going to be, I guess, I think we've just grown apart. We've just grown apart. And like my ex-wife, she played this one on me. It's funny, because these words that they're saying, they're actually possessed. They're not their words. They're not original at all. This is what they all go through, this phase. And she said to me, I think that some people, they're together for a season. And, there was a season where that was good. And then now, it's a different season. And unknowingly, she's actually describing exactly what I'm saying, is that she's gone through a phase. This is why you hear them. Men don't, say, well, I'm going through a phase. But women are, they describe children that way. Oh, they're just going through a phase. Everything's a phase. Because that's how it is for them. Women are physical. They are cyclical. That's why it's called the monogamish cycle. It's a female-driven cycle. It's a cycle. They have a 28-day cycle. Men don't have that. That women, all these blue-pilled, they try to say, oh, well, men have a cycle. No, they don't. That's not true. Men are like this, right? That's why men make everything. That's why men invent, create, build, maintain everything in the whole world. Always have, still do, always will. Who's making the AI? Our future AI robots that are going to change our diaper, who's making those? Men. And they're going to build them and maintain them too. But women they're in a cycle, the cycle is dominating the show. And so that's why they're in their phases, they're in their glow up phase. They're in whatever new phase that their hot girl summer. They're in their trad wife phase. They're it's all a phase. And she's gone. You just haven't figured it out yet. But you will, because you're about to get wrecked. And that's why I add over the phase 3 on the monogamous cycle, wrecked, right? Because that's where you get wrecked. The women don't get wrecked. For a woman, getting wrecked is a normal thing. They like getting wrecked, right? That's when you are, when you bang the shit out of them and they're laying in the corner. I've had them, they can't move, right? Her head hurts. She's like dizzy. She doesn't know where she's at. You've just, torn that up, right? Torn up from the floor up. I love that. That's one of my favorite sayings. I was torn up from the floor. But they love that, That's the shit, man, when it comes to sex and their fan. Why do you think they're into all this BDSM, right? Like, okay, I'm not even going to get into that in this video. They want to get wrecked. They're all about getting wrecked, right? So for them, oh no, it's another drama, and then they got 300 other dudes. They're all in her inbox. Uh-oh. The highway's coming to a stop here, and I'm following a truck and an RV, and so I don't know what's going on. I can't see around them. It looks like there's an accident. Yeah. Well, it is what it is. Doesn't surprise me. Anyways, it's normal for women to get wrecked. And they don't have an issue with this. They're constantly going through these phases, and it's usually a benefit to them. She's going to get wrecked, but she's going to get all your stuff, right? And she's going to get with a new guy who's going to give her next big fantasy, right? So men are looked at as sources of provision of whatever it is that she's trying to get. Could be she wants to, travel and get drunk and, have a good time. So the guy who you're like, why is she with this guy? Because that's what's going to happen. So here's the last step. I think step 10 in the exit phase. Step 10 is block, unblock, reblock, right? Because they're going to do that you've seen this, right? They're going to block them. They go through this kind of spastic period where you're together, not together. It's complicated. all dramatic bullshit that they just love, right? But we hate. But step 12 is that she is going to get with the next guy who will do the opposite of the things that you would do. Think about it. Okay, hold that thought. Now, this is how you really get wrecked, right? And you're sitting there, you're screwed, man. I mean, this could be, like I'm going to do an interview with a guy that I know who's currently going through his second year of divorce, wrecked, couple kids, wife, house, the whole 9 yards. And she totally is just blowing up his life. And wasn't his idea, wasn't what he wanted. He was trying to have a good family and everything, and loves his kids, great dad, sober, and just getting totally wrecked. And that whole one started out how he found the overt breakup was when he caught her cheating. And then that's when that's that sign that he saw, oh, she's gone. She's somewhere else emotionally, right? And that's how that happened. And that was 2 years ago. Now he's still fighting in court. He has to go see his kids with supervised visitation. She got the restraining order. He never laid a hand on her, played the whole game, right? And now he can't even see his kids without, he has to pay. This is just part that really got me, he has to pay a state supervised social worker to watch him with his own kids. That's how screwed up it is. And imagine how humiliating. And that's how desperate he is. That's how much he's compromised to see his kids. And I'm going to interview him. That's going to be a good one. You don't want to miss that. It looks like the traffic's moving slowly now. And this accident, I don't know, they got off the road. We'll see what happens here. This is not unusual. Highway 2, the state-sponsored highway of death, is a 2-lane. That's why they call it the highway of death. And they call it the state-sponsored highway of death because the state, now the people all want in Washington, right? You know about Washington. I've done videos on that. They want the highways to be fixed, to be modernized, like this is Highway 2 is a very popular highway, and it should be probably 4 lanes, divided, but it's just, they won't, the state, we don't have money, right? Meanwhile, the state has billions of dollars that they're spending on the socialist welfare state. If it's not the federal government, it's the state government. And Washington State is a huge socialist welfare state. And they just passed an income tax. That's a new thing and so they won't fix the roads because their liberal thing is that, we're going to have nobody's going to drive. And cars are bad and people are bad. And so they tax the gas and they're trying to build trains, but they're not going to have trains go, and they can't even fix Highway 2 and just, spend basic money that people want because of the socialist welfare state regime that is redistributing that money to the women and now the immigrants and everybody else for the social programs instead of to, things that we actually want. So, anyways, the point about being wrecked is that this is not what men want. This is not what children want. No children want their parents to, separate. No children want that. And so this is what's causing all the trauma. Now, the trauma is another gaslighting thing. Oh, well, it's because of my trauma. And that's why I'm addicted to, men who treat me bad or men who are controlling or men who are, because my dad was like that and my mom had to leave him to get away, and I just want an emotionally available man. Well, that's not true. That's a blatant lie. but they believe it. And it's called stated values, which means it's just what is said. And it's virtue signaling. Oh, I want an emotionally available man. That's virtue signaling. Men aren't emotionally available. Men are stoic. That is the healthy, normal male state. Think about it. If we were like women, nothing would ever get done. We have to have this base stability deal to be able to really, be effective and to have the logic, the reason, the planning, like this getting wrecked all the time. That's, now we don't want that. That's why we don't want it, right? That's why men are like, well, I don't want to get wrecked, but I don't want my family destroyed. But I thought my case was different. I thought she was ride or die. I thought, she said that she was in love with me. And she said that, yes, Daddy. she said, yes, Daddy. And what happened? This is what I'm trying to tell you guys. I figured this out. Now, the reason I figured it out is because I learned the hard way. And I've been through this. I have been through this. Not 2, not 3, not 5, 10 times. 10. I've been through this 10 times. That, you know what that is? 10 long-term monogamish relationships where they've gone through this cycle, right? This isn't my cycle. This is every man's cycle. And I thought my case was different, just like you. And I thought I can just change a few things, right? And this next one, she's not going to be like that. Right? I thought I had a broken picker too, just like the women think. I thought that, but then the problem was I fixed my broken picker. And I did all the things. I got with, somebody that wasn't hot, but she was, smart, seemed to be, well balanced and postmenopausal. I tried older women, I tried younger women, and the cycle is the same. They don't grow out of it. It's always the same cycle. And no matter how old, there's just different phases. I call it, there's like, you got nowadays, we're in this, and this is new, this never happened. It's also because of man's technology, that we have a long life cycle of relationships where we have basically a lifetime, 50, 60, 70 years. And so in the women, I'm talking about women, typically, this is the typical pattern. In the 20s, now in the modern world, is the situationship phase. Then in the 30s is the epiphany phase, right? But then back in the 40s, this is very general, very, very, very general. In the 40s, back to the situationship phase again, right? This is after the marriage, after the divorce, after, he's a narcissistic abuser and dark triad personality type. After all of that, she's going to get back into her second situationship phase. It'll be short, right? And then she'll be like, I'm too old for this, right? And then she'll get back into her second epiphany phase. And that's in the late 40s, early 50s. Nobody's talking about this. This is why I say all my stuff is original. Because I'm been in the red pill lurking, right? But I have the bigger picture information here. I promise you guys, and I also deliver. Okay, like this is real. I have a lot more too. And so you got your 30s epiphany phase. Remember the 20s whole phase before that. Then so 20s, 30s, then 40s, second situationship phase. 40s, late 40s, early 50s, second epiphany phase. Yeah. Second epiphany phase, right? Now in that phase, that's when they say, where have all the good men gone? This is post-wall. This is into the menopause. This is, get your Ozempic going. And, now now all the women have tattoos, it seems like. But yeah, they've got kids, they've got every kind of baggage, and they're asking, where are all the good men? Now I'm really looking for a guy that is, emotionally available. They've done all their therapy, they've done their traveling, they want to settle down again, right? They're like, well, because women can be attractive still, I know a lot of guys talk a lot of shit on the internet, and guys are like that, the only hot chicks are the perfect 10s that are, 20s or young, but no, women can be very attractive in their 40s and even into their 50s. It's not the same, but there's plenty. There's so many simps, they're gonna hit it, so the market doesn't go away. From a woman's perspective, you got to look at it from a woman's perspective. That market is always there. It's just, can they get what they want, right? There goes the state patrol going around me. So yeah, there's some kind of accident up here. Hopefully I'll get around it. It shouldn't be unsuspected. But they've always got guys in their inbox. Always. No matter how old, they can get guys to talk to them, to even take them out, spend money on them. It definitely goes down. It's not what it was, but it's just the quality changes. And so this monogamous cycle system is a lifetime deal. Like, it never really goes away. And people will retire out altogether and just be like, I'm not, WGTOW, women going their own way, MGTOW, men going their own way. But it's the main system. There isn't another system. That's why I say we're in the monogamish era. And this monogamish cycle in these 12 steps that I said, I'm not going to get into every one of them. I can do that in another one, but that's really where you need to read the book, right? And I'll end on this. I am feverishly working in 2026 to get the book to market. It is 95% written. There's a few things I'm polishing up in the solution section at the end. But that's one of my big fronts, is getting that published. I've decided now that I'm just going to go through Amazon. Since it's my first book, I'm not going to do any radical editing. I'm going to edit it myself, which I'm working on, and publish it as is. It's a textbook. It's large. It's 600 pages right now in its current form. And it's meant to be that you don't have to read every bit of it. It's meant that you can pick it up anywhere and read, because I described the full picture, like I said. So we've got the history and what, relationships, what sex was like on Earth for 10,000 years, and all the different modes of that. That's the first section, which is, I talk about the four different modes of sex that used to exist. Male enforced monogamy, which I already told you about here, and polygyny, which is still active, and monogamy is not, but polygyny is. We'll get to that. And then non-consensual force is very, prolific throughout human history. And then prostitution. Those are the four forms of sex. So out of those four forms, monogamy's dead, polygyny and non-consensual force and prostitution are still going. But in replacing monogamy, the main relationship is what we call monogamish. This is what relationships are now, and they're female-led, and they're, sort of monogamy, but not. Because remember, you're a cuck. So I'm trying to kind of place you in the scheme of things here. And that's just the first section of the book. And then I get into what monogamish is, There's a whole thing on that. And then there's a section on the trauma, which I described a little bit here, the real trauma. Because remember, the women are all like this trauma. Everything's trauma, childhood trauma and adult trauma and repeating the trauma. But the trauma is coming from the monogamish relationships. That's what is creating the trauma. That's why that's why I use this certain terminology that I use, REKT, right? That's where the trauma is really happening. And it's happening to the children. We're not even really having children. That's a whole nother aspect, the population cliff, which is our dystopian future, the loneliness epidemic dystopian future that we're heading to. Or we're in it. So that's from the trauma. And then I have a solution section, which consists of, deprogramming from the blue-pilled world and accepting the situation as it is, and then learning how you can maximize the reality that we're dealing with today, which I call alpha frame, which is taking back the masculine power, which is good for both women and men. And I'm not saying this will solve the problem, because it won't. We're heading for a collapse, right? But it makes it so we can live with it. That's so you can live with it. And that's why I say, so that you can survive and thrive like I am in the loneliness epidemic that is here now. So on that note, more to come. And I hope that you guys are doing well, and I want to hear from you. And I'm building up this Rumble community. I'm really focusing on that right now. I'm horizontally integrating. That's what I was trying to describe. I'm really, I started out a few months ago working on YouTube, and I've hit a few roadblocks with that, with the censorship. But now I have a lot of fronts that I'm trying to get all at once. This is kind of a 2026 thing where I'm getting my book published. I'm going to have to record the audio version because I want you guys to have an audio version. I know how, if you're like me, you like the audio books. And then I'm starting multiple communities on social media, Facebook, Instagram. I plan to go after on a kick the young Gen Z men demographic. From what I understand, they're pretty heavy on a kick. And Rumble, of course. There's another thing called School. I'm working on getting a weekly meeting together. So I'm really hopeful about that. I want to have a community. That's what I'm trying to do, is create a community of people that we can all survive and thrive in this loneliness epidemic dystopian future that is here now. So like and subscribe to this channel and stay tuned, because I'm going to have more, and I'm going to get up and go skiing. I've got my skis attached here. See that? That is it's a cross-country type of ski, but it's more heavy. It's got edges, and you can do some backcountry, like light backcountry skiing with that. And that's what I'm doing. Try to do that, while the conditions are good out here. I just love snow in the mountains, and that's why I'm Alaska, Washington, Idaho, Oregon. That's my BC. That is my territory that I love, and hope to be, bringing you more from those territories as well. And so I encourage you, one thing you can do today is, do one thing in your life at least that you like, that's really for you, that you like. That's important, and you can work 24/7 on everything else, but have one thing that you take time out for yourself, and that is something that is really pleasurable and fulfilling for you, and do that. And because we get wrecked, but we can use that wreckage to heal and to grow and to focus on what's important in life. because it's short. And I hope to see you soon.